What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 20. Today, my friends, we're going to be doing a deep dive into a topic that many of you as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, and maybe you're in the business finance space, you're in the business funding space, maybe you're interested in that and you've been learning more about it through some of our programs. Whatever the deal is, you've heard this term ERC, Employee Retention Credit. We've even been seeing like ads on TV, ads online, all these different things about this Employee Retention Credit. So Ty, we've been hearing this, and today we decided it's time we tackle this ERC thing and all the opportunities and how this program works.
I think it's time we break all these questions down. We've got a professional here with us, so we're going to get some answers for all these ERC questions coming up.
No question. And the interesting thing about it is legitimately there are people in our community that are helping small business owners with this ERC program, and they're getting paid massive amounts, $24,000. Dave with one of our communities, Francois had a deal that paid him $53,000. So massive amounts of money just for helping that small business owner who kept some employees on during the pandemic. So today, guys, we have a special guest. We've got an expert here on this Employee Retention Credit Program, the ERC, if you will. And I think it's important. A lot of people think this is just government spending money. This is a loan. This is a grant. But isn't it actually kind of like just a refund of your payroll taxes?
Similar, yeah, in a sort of way, because every business is going to be paying a payroll tax, and so this is actually drawn from that. That's what this is. It's a payroll tax filing. It's drawn from taxes. It's drawn from small business taxes that have already been collected. That's why there's not really a cap on. They didn't set a cap on, hey, once we get to this amount of filings, we're cutting it off. It's more of a deadline that they have set. And so, there's a lot of businesses out there plenty of businesses that were still impacted that still need to qualify and look into this, and they're entitled to that money, And so that's one thing to look at it that way. I don't know exactly if I don't know exactly where the funds, where we would, morally justify like, hey, it's coming from taxes. That's great. But it's not, it is money that small businesses have paid in. And so again, they pay the majority of the taxes in the country. And so they're getting this benefit back.
So basically, hey, you kept employees on through the pandemic, you did a noble thing, and the government's rewarding you for it.
Right. And that's how it's termed in a lot of ways. It's sometimes it's termed like, hey, here's the reward for keeping employees on. Just to be clear, even if you didn't keep employees on and you had employees through that payroll and you still had to let people go, you're still entitled to getting a refund of the wages that you were paying employees through the pandemic, though, that were on payroll. And so even if a business closed its doors, they could still qualify. Because that was a hardship that they had to endure through the pandemic. And even if they had to end up closing their doors, which there are plenty of businesses that had to do that, they're still going to be able to qualify for something like this for the 2020 and 2021 payroll that they were paying their employees during that time. So they should look into it as well. I think that's a big misconception that a lot of businesses, if they've shut down, they can't do this. But that's just not true.
Which I think is great because the government knows entrepreneurs and business owners, they're going to get that money back into the economy. And it's already proving that is occurring.
Some people might be able to open their doors back up.
Exactly.
That actually has happened.
Yeah.
So
what about because this employee retention credit, I have had a lot of people say, well, I already got the PPP. I got the PPP forgiven. I was told that I can't qualify now because I got the PPP. And although that may mean maybe you get a little bit less in the ERC, break that down. How does this interact with the PPP?
Yeah, and this has been asked to me so many times. It feels like old news for me when somebody asks that. I kind of go, oh, I have to explain this again. It is kind of old news. This was actually amended last year. And so it used to be when they first came out with this that they didn't want you to essentially double dip, which means that you couldn't have received your PPP money and then also have received ERC money. They were actually on the same bill. The ERC was the second part of the CARES Act. And so they were saying, oh, we don't want people double dipping. Now, that has kind of gone away, and that went away with a new amendment. And so essentially you can still have done PPP and receive that PPP money, even if you had it 100% forgiven, okay? The forgiven amount, though, just needs to be taken out of the payroll that we would be calculating with. It needs to be taken out of the wages that we would be calculating for your ERC. And
for that quarter, right?
For that quarter,
okay.
Yeah. And we do that. We do that actually 100% to be on the safe side. It's 100% deduction of the PPP money that you received. And we do that to take it out so that there's essentially not that double dipping that happens. It's taken out of the payroll. And so it means that your employee retention credit, your ERC credit, is a little bit smaller, but it's not a huge amount. It's not significant in most cases. Matter of fact, the ERC is far better than the PPP. Most people will receive a lot more with the ERC with the employee retention credit than they did with the PPP loan, because it's typically just a better way to get the credit back, because they're looking at the wages that you were spending and they're giving a percentage of that back.
So, I mean, that's great news. If you got a PPP loan, it's not keeping you from getting that ERC refund at the same time. And so there's been a lot of confusion about that. And so if you were confused about that, cool, you still can qualify for a lot. So let's break down the qualifying factors. It's up to $26,000 per employee that you can get in a refund with this ERC program. And what's that breakdown with 2020 versus 2021?
Yeah, I won't go into, I'm not going to bore everybody with just like all the details on it, but essentially, we say $26,000 per employee. And the reason we say that is because really the max you can get back per employee for 2020 is $5,000. The max that you can get back per employee for 2021 was actually increased quite a bit. You can get $21,000 back.
Whoa.
If your wages were, if it calculates out that you were paying your employees a good amount in wages. There's a cap that's the max that we're telling you with $26,000, $5,000 for all of 2020, $21,000 for all of 2021. Because the quarters you go off of for 2021 would be quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3, and it's $7,000 per quarter that can be maxed out
Per employee.
Per employee, yeah, exactly. So that's why we can say you can potentially get up to $26,000 back per employee, per W-2 employee. And I'll clarify that's per W-2 employee. And so that's the max amount, and that's why you'll hear that. Now, again, don't grab a calculator and think, I have 10 employees, I'm going to receive exactly $260,000. That's just not how it works. There's going to be a lot more calculation that goes into it, and it's going to be less than that. But there's still a really good benefit that comes from this.
No, that's awesome. And what about, I know a common concern, and it's a legitimate concern, because things with the EIDL and the PPP, there were restrictions and things that, like, you cannot use it for this or you're going to get into some trouble. And so a lot of people got really scared about, oh, I don't even want the EIDL because what if I don't use it correctly and then I get in trouble? What about the ERC? What are the limitations on how you can actually spend that money?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's no limitations on how you can spend the money as a business owner with the employee retention tax credit. And so, yeah, there were stipulations with the PPP. It makes sense with the PPP. It's a loan that's given, and that was what it was, is it's a paycheck, that was paycheck protection, right? And so that was to provide it specifically for paying the payroll for your employees. This, again, is a stimulus. This is a simple stimulus that's rewarded, if I can say that, rewarded to business owners so that they can use that money to put it back into the economy, hopefully boost their business and do whatever they need to do with it. I like that aspect of it. I like that the government's not telling a business how they're going to have to use this money.
That's great.
That's great, in my opinion. So,
yeah, no question. I think in Ty, we've spoken with a lot of small business owners. I mean, we help thousands of small business owners with business funding every single year. And I feel like one of their biggest concerns, and especially talking to accountants, they see these stories in the news of, oh, there was some fraud done with the PPP or the EIDL or whatever it was, and it wasn't really a business owner that got it. So they're really concerned they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get this big refund and have to pay it back because they weren't in compliance.
Yeah.
So, Dave, talk to us, if you could, about all the steps that are taken and how important it is to work with a reputable firm who's going to keep you in compliance and make sure that the amount you're getting back is the correct amount, and making sure that you're avoiding any trouble. You know, no one wants trouble with the IRS or the government, and so you want to do this in compliance. And this is why it's so important to work with someone who understands that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Everyone's going to have that concern. We're dealing with the IRS, right? And so everyone's going to have that concern. It's not, it's not impossible that somebody wouldn't be audited on these ERCs. Okay, that may come. I'm not. We don't know, and there could be audits that are coming from the IRS. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to go about that. So it is important that a business owner look at it and work with someone who understands all the ways that you can qualify, all the legitimate ways that you can qualify, and link it to those things. You want to be open and honest. You don't want to disqualify yourself, but you do want to be open and honest when you're looking into this, potential refund. And it's important to understand all the details. That's what we do, is we try to help interpret all the different guidelines that the IRS has or that the bill has on this, and so that somebody can take full advantage of it. We know that business owners are busy. They have their, it's not the number one priority for them to get this refund in most cases. It's a benefit. It's an extra perk. It's a nice thing, but it's not their number one benefit or their number one priority. Their number one priority is running their business, right? So we want to spend the time to make sure that we understand, that we give all the information so that you can see, okay, I was affected this way, and this is how I can qualify. And that's a legitimate way that you can qualify. And it's not just a guess. And as far as speaking on the calculation side of it, that's what we take very, very seriously. I mean, we do not want any errors or any mess ups on that at all. And so we're safe. For example, that's one of the reasons why we're safe on just 100% deduction of the PPP amount. We do that because it's safe if we do it that way. That's the way it's been interpreted, so we do it that way. There might be others that do it a different way, but that's the way that we do it. And so we are wanting to maximize the refund, but we do want to be very careful with the calculations. We ask very thorough questions on different things that are going to allow us to calculate a maximum refund for you, but a correct refund for you at the same time.
What kind of documents are required? Like, for you to actually get those numbers right, what kind of documentation will people need to provide?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's actually fairly simple. It's not as hard as going and getting a mortgage, that's for sure.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah.
So that's, the industry, if anybody's gone through and had to get a mortgage, they know that is complicated, or it's a long process. This really does not have to be a long process for most people. Okay, if somebody's can get documents together and upload them, most of the time we can get filings done within 7 business days. That's actually, depending on the cooperation of the business and how quickly we can get documents in, we can get everything filed off with the IRS within 7 business days.
Guys, I just need to take a moment. That is super important, because right now there are firms that are literally taking 3 months just to get the paperwork together and get it submitted into the IRS to get that ERC refund. And to be able to do this in a week, which is what we're able to do right now, like, man, that saves you so much time, keeps you in compliance. And there are these big firms that are out there driving Rolls Royces. I don't know what they're doing, but they are literally taking months and months to get this stuff filed. And so if you're in that position, you're super frustrated, we hear you. And that's why we're putting it through as fast as possible so these business owners can take advantage of it in 2023.
Yeah, the filing itself is going to take a long time. That's something we cannot control with the IRS. We can't control that stuff on the back end. We cannot control how long the filings are taking. Initially, when it first started, filings took probably 3-4 months on average. Now they are taking longer. They're taking probably 6 to 8 months on average with the IRS, as far as people getting their actual money back, getting a check back from the IRS. That's how long it's taking with them. So our idea is that we don't want to spend 2 months trying to just get everything in and get it filed for you with the IRS, which adds 2 months to that 6-month return time, right, for your check. There are some that are faster. I'm not saying all of them are going to be that long. We actually say about 2 to 6 month average.
So that's it. You get those documents together. A lot of your payroll companies, accountants will just have those. And so it can be a quick, easy process. Get those in, get it processed in a week, not 3 months, and then get it to the IRS. And then you've done everything you can to get that moving as fast as possible. And for a lot of you, you're watching this, you're thinking, wow, this is awesome. This is great. But, how can I benefit if I could actually go reach out to these business owners and make that happen? And so that's what we've been working on, is putting together kind of a partner program for you to be able to benefit big time. And we've seen some of our referral partners, funding CEOs, earning tremendous commissions for helping these small business owners, Ty. So how does that work? And for everyone out there who's like, dang, I want to get involved. I want to help these small business owners. And, hey, if I can make a lot of money doing it, then that's the best of both worlds. How does that work, Ty?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're willing to do for you right now as a partner, if you want to be able to offer an ERC service, we'll handle all of the sales. We'll handle all of the fulfillment. You just want to simply be able to submit a business to us to reach out. Email ty@sevenfigures.com. It's just ty at the number 7. So ty@sevenfigures.com. We can co-brand a landing page for you. You can be submitting businesses in. We'll handle the sales. We'll handle the documents. We'll handle the submission. There's a lot of work that goes into it. You do not want to try and figure that out yourself. I promise you. Let us do that part. And then as soon as that employer gets that commission or gets that credit, we're going to send you a nice commission on that. And we'll go over all those details. Email ty@sevenfigures.com. We'll get you set up as a referral partner.
And we are paying a lot more than those other companies right now, as much as 50% more than what most companies are paying. And most importantly, instead of it taking 3 months, it's taking about a week to get everything submitted to the IRS, as long as the client submits the documentation. So that means you're getting paid faster.